customs and traditions that have been a part of our Navy's heritage from its beginning. The change of command ceremony you will witness today is part of that rich naval tradition. This simple ceremony witnesses the complete passing of authority and responsibility from one officer to another. The ready assumption of such total responsibility demonstrates the selflessness and dedication of the bold men and women who so eagerly come forward to serve this nation and this Navy in uniform. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the parading of the colors, for our national anthem, and for the invocation. Commander, United States Navy, arriving. BULKELEY, arriving. Destroyer Squadron 2-8, arriving. Color Guard, post the colors. And now our national anthem. Color Guard, retire the colors. Petty Officer Darrell Dunford will now deliver the invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, in whom we live and move and have our being, we ask your blessings today as we participate in this most impressive and time-honored naval tradition, the change and assumption of command. Today we honor the outstanding leadership which Commander McGrath has given throughout the many months as commanding officer. We offer special thanks to the personnel of this command who have given selflessly of themselves, their talents, and dedication and devotion to service. We thank you this day and for the families, spouses, and children who have given so much encouragement. We offer special thanks as well, Father. Help us to remember that those who are gathered here today to witness this transition, that all stand as you have created them, with the blood of Europe, Asia, Africa, and the many other common lands, with different colors, languages, accents, and prayers, though different, one quality is common. All here today are free. Our Navy seeks no reward other than the peace and freedom that you have promised us. So today, Father, may your light shine upon this ceremony, and may you forge our beloved torch even brighter. And may who all look upon the many men and women who sail this ship, may they see strength, hope, and peace wherever she may sail. It is for these things that we pray. Amen.
For the guests, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Commander Brian G. McGrath, Commanding Officer, USS Bulkeley.
Good morning. Mrs. Bulkeley, thank you for coming today. It's such a treasure to have you here. A great part of this country's 20th century history and moving on into the 21st. So thank you very much. Captain Pete Bulkeley. Captain Pete Bulkeley, Mrs. Bulkeley Stayed, thank you both for coming too and for everything you always do for this ship. Admiral Donnell, Admiral Giffen, Mr. Broom, Rear Admiral Brooks, Rear Admiral Myers, Rear Admiral Carr, Commodores, Captains, Commanding Officers, family, friends, and most important of all, the Wolf Pack. Welcome to today's ceremony. It is a real treat to introduce our guest speaker today. Commodore Mike Franken does John and me a great honor by speaking here today, as he is a very, very busy man getting his ships ready for their deployment this autumn. Please take time to read his biography in your program. You'll see that it is deep and wide in both seagoing, experience, and policy making at the very heart of the action in Washington, D.C. Prior to commanding Desron 28, he had command of the second best destroyer on the waterfront, the USS Winston S. Churchill. Please join me in greeting a superb naval officer, a great leader, and a friend of some 15 years, Commodore Mike Franken.
Well, half of that's true. Good morning to the distinguished Bulkeley family, the Graff family, and Beaver family, and senior officers, those uniformed personnel, family, friends, shipmates, and all. Hello, welcome. Unique to any other line of work, military service keeps bringing together old, and perhaps in my case a little older, sailors together, where we exchange fleeting moments of mutual respect and gratitude. I've had that sort of relationship with today's commanding officers. A few hellos through the years and one fewer farewell. And our bit of business today is to say farewell to Captain Brian McGrath, dear friend, and to welcome Commander John Beaver as Bulkeley's fourth CO. Changes of command have occurred for hundreds of years. It's not an earth-shattering event in the greater scheme of world affairs. Unless, that is, of course, it's happening to you, and then indeed it is a very big deal. Permit me to tell you why. Command at sea is special in many, many ways. At sea, there is no one to help with those decisions of yes or no, to do it or not do it, and in many cases, life and death. You carry the weight of the nation on your shoulders, and that's manifested by the deeds of your ship and your actions. Many of you in the audience here know exactly what I'm talking about, and I trust if you could have another crack at it, you'd love to do that. As would I. A captain, if doing it right, gives the act of command his or her all. Winston Churchill understood the gravity of command most vividly. His tenor in reflecting his years as a cavalry officer was never anything like his words when he was first Sea Lord. His stint then, he bowed fondly to the mere recommendations of ship captains as he deliberated on theater warfare. He always regretted the fact that he was never a ship CO and actually saw that as a failing in his preparation to lead his nation. He used to say, "Sail on, O Britannia, sail on." Sir Winston even characterized his nation in nautical terms. Consequently, Great Britain in 1940 reflected Winston Churchill. Just like this ship before you reflects Captain Brian McGrath. It mirrors him. He did it right. Captain McGrath refers to his shipmates as a wolf pack, like a pack of wolves. It's a hierarchical relationship between him and his wardroom, his chief's mess, and the ship's crew. It's a very necessary relationship, but this relationship is only as strong as its leader. And that relationship goes two ways. He's heavily reliant on his shipmates as well. No one questions that this ship was well led the last 22 months. Look at it. Look at the crew. Makes the Commodore very proud, very happy. The ship's amazing accomplishments these last 22 months is indicative of a wolf pack, well led, hungry for success, and potent in warfighting. Their success, frankly, is quite overwhelming. Some examples, frankly, it began early in Brian's tour. He came out of the shipyard raging with Navy's most advanced Aegis load and a training pipeline to match. The light-off assessment was eye-wateringly successful. The command assessment of readiness and training set a new benchmark for Desron 28 ships. And the cruise missile tactical qualification standards that he set are still the standard that ships achieve to make on the waterfront today. Matter of fact, his final battle problem that he ran showed the warrior ethos that Brian instilled in his crew, something that I'd kind of been thinking that was lacking on the waterfront. There was one time when Brian's tactical action officer was driving the ship and fighting the ship all from CIC, using the 1MC to control after steering and ship movements. It was fabulous, phenomenal to watch. It was a grand performance Vice Admiral Bulkeley would be proud to have seen. Brian is also a warrior statesman. He's not satisfied with such things as CNO's required reading program. Rather, he relishes in-depth discussions by a diverse crowd. So once a month or so, he'd bring in a business leader, a politico, perhaps an author into the wardroom to discuss current events of the day. Bulkeley became a smart ship, questioning of the current dialogue of things. Like some of you in this audience, as I see and remember when you were COs. Perhaps a little bit big for its britches, Bulkeley was. I love that about the Bulkeley, and for Mr. McGrath, I just ordered bigger britches. A few weeks ago, over dinner, a very notable flag officer on the waterfront whispered to me that USS Bulkeley's performance as the Air Defense Commander in the Iwo Jima ESG was perhaps the finest ADC performance he had ever seen by any ship in 10 battle groups. I just continued working on my cellet and nodded. It was never a question that this ship wouldn't shine radiantly in all things warfare. It even won the Anti-Submarine Warfare Award for Land Fleet. It's called the Bloodhound Award. This ship had the most ardent warfighter at the helm. And as an 05 on the waterfront, Brian really led the way. Something near and dear to my heart also as a commanding officer who understands risks and relies on his crew by trusting in the competence of his crew to balance that risk. It's easy for a CO to motor about the waterfront, to motor about wherever he goes, maximum reliability, all systems on, going fast, wearing equipment down. So I challenged my ships last year. I said, hey, I want you to save gas. Think more wisely, operate more efficiently. I'm happy to report that Bulkeley neared 20% savings in gas since last year while doing a weighty mission that's made possible by a solid engineering crew and a great supporting cast in the ship. As many of you also know, the complexion of naval warfare has changed markedly in the last few years. Captain McGrath led those changes and created a Navy infantry battalion from ship's company. Well before it became in vogue, he expanded the capabilities of a destroyer and its crew. He threw rock and pose out the window and established his own, which are now the standard. I think perhaps the most poignant memory of Commander McGrath's tour will be Admiral Vern Clark's last night at sea. It was clear choice for me when asked what is the best ship on the waterfront to host the CNO for his last night at sea in a career spanning 4 decades. Easy choice, Bulkley, McGrath. Word has it that the CNO wanted to spend more than one night on board, which is truly the highest level of praise one would want to hear. Okay, so this ship stands proud to deploy in a few short days. As Commodore, I'm quite good with that. They'll carry the McGrath ethos forward to the fight, and I'm convinced, Commander Beaver, you'll build on that legacy and do unbelievably well. With that, I close. Commander Beaver, she is yours to take forward. Wolfpack, thank you. Being a terrific ship. And I'll see you overseas. Captain McGrath, could you step forward, please?
Ladies and gentlemen, Commodore Frank and Commander Destroyer Squadron 2A will present Commander McGrath with an award. Will the guests please remain seated? The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Meritorious Service Medal, Gold Star in lieu of 4th Award to Commander Brian G. McGrath, United States Navy, for service set forth in the following citation. For outstanding meritorious achievement as Commanding Officer, USS BULKELEY, DDG 84, from August 2004 to June 2006. A transformational leader and motivator of his crew, he developed and implemented a series of innovative processes that positively impacted every mission area in Bulkley and ultimately surpassed the requirements of the Fleet Response Plan. His extraordinary vision and exceptional ambition enabled Bulkley to assume duties as Air Defense Commander of the Iwo Jima Expeditionary Strike Group, while his unmatched expertise in air defense and joint interface control set a new standard within the strike group. Commander McGrath's focused leadership and exemplary professionalism were instrumental in the mentoring, training, and development of over 600 sailors. His thorough warfare excellence plans culminated in Bulkley's exceptional unit-level training phase and resulted in the ship obtaining training level 2 or above in all warfare areas. His exemplary leadership and unparalleled tactical prowess were instrumental in Bulkley garnering the Anti-Submarine Warfare Bloodhound Award for the Atlantic Fleet. Additionally, he spearheaded the Navy's first shipboard naval infantry division to support anti-terrorism force protection and visit board search and seizure training and operational requirements. His devotion to duty, infectious enthusiasm, and unremitting emphasis on safety and operational excellence in the day-to-day life of his officers and crew resulted in a dramatic improvement in morale and ship-wide performance. Commander McGrath brought Bulkley to the zenith of performance and established the ship as the most progressive warfighting combatant in the Atlantic Fleet. By his exceptional professional ability, steadfast initiative, and selfless dedication to duty, Commander McGrath reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. For the President, signed A.G. Myers, Rear Admiral, United States Navy, Commander, Carrier Strike Group 8. Ladies and gentlemen, Commander Brian G. McGrath, Commanding Officer, USS Bulkley.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Commodore, for those all too kind words. Your presence here today, your leadership throughout our time together, and your friendship. Nearly 2 years ago, I assumed command of the ship standing right where I stand today. I knew that I had accomplished my mission for the day, but I looked out in the audience and I saw my battle group commander nodding approvingly at his watch, that I had kept my speech short on a hot day. This is not that day. Let's start with the thank yous. I thank God and the Navy for putting me here today, and my mom and dad for everything else. I thank my brothers and my sister and their families for their unending support of the things that I do. I thank the many friends and mentors and shipmates who are here today, each of whom have made indelible imprints on my being. I thank my squadron mates, great COs all, and all the COs on the waterfront, especially the ones who have illuminated and animated my command tour. Pete DeMaine, Dave Schweizer, Dan Schaefer, Jeff Griffin, and a great destroyerman, Todd Leather. I thank every crew member who has ever worked in the wardroom, and the waterfront's best culinary specialist, as you will sample shortly in the reception. I thank the corpsmen, the docs, who provided me with unmatched medical care from the day I stepped aboard the ship, and everyone else gets the same. I'd like to thank once again the Bulkeley family for their continuing support of this great ship. I want to thank the only ombudsman I've ever had, Mary Ann Magnet, and the dedicated folks who have led the family support group, Lisa Malott, Lorraine Richards, and Vanessa Konine. With deployment on the near horizon, what you do will be even more important than it's ever been. I thank the Norfolk Harbor pilots whose patience has been transcendent and whose skill has gotten me out of many a pickle. I thank the Waterfront Maintenance Organization, my maintenance team, and my two port engineers, Frank Zelenka and Larry Morrison, for their hard work in ensuring our readiness and their zeal to match my own obsession with numbers and metrics. I thank the wives, husbands, sons, and daughters of every member of this crew for allowing me to borrow their husbands, wives, mothers, and fathers for extended periods of time. I thank my predecessors in this job, Carlos Del Toro and Bob Barlas, for providing me with such a great ship to command and for their warm welcome to the ex-commanding officers club. I would like to thank my massage therapist and confidant, Lena, who I have tricked into thinking that I am some kind of a Zen master, while most of the people who know me know the real truth. I want to thank my bull ensigns, Pat McConnell, Joel Knipple, Podrick McDermott, and Carter Old, for helping me keep a talented and rowdy bunch of ensigns headed fair in the channel and under control. And I thank everyone associated with pulling this day off. The color guard, the participants, the folks who set up the tents and the sound system, the bunting, all ably led by Lieutenant Mike Desmond, who deserves great praise. And I'd also like to thank FCC Moore, who will, as he has virtually every other day of my command tour, catalog this day with beautiful digital pictures. I think that about wraps it up for the formal thank yous. Of course, there are many others deserving of thanks, some of whom will be recognized in the rest of this speech, and many others who I will spend a lifetime apologizing to for forgetting. One day while serving as XO of USS Princeton, one of my department heads turned back and looked over his shoulder as he was leaving a session of relentless micromanagement. And he said, "XO, there will only be one word on your tombstone. Relentless." I honestly do not know what moderation is, nor do I know where to go to find it. In fact, as some of you know, relentless went on to be part of my command philosophy. Relentless excellence. For those of you who don't know, officers on their way to command of ships go through a 2-week leadership course. And during that course, we are assigned to create a command philosophy. My initial go-round consisted of 2 words, relentless excellence. And when I handed it in to my mentor, he said, "How will your crew members interpret this?" And what does this mean? I knew then that I was in the presence of someone who did not get it. But this crew got it. They embraced it. They lived it. They trained harder than any other crew I've been a part of, and they mastered the ability to do more things well at the same time, as well as any ship I've ever been a part of, including the famous Thomas S. Gates. But it didn't start that way. My second weekend in command back in August of 2004, a tropical storm approached the Norfolk coast as they are wont to do that time of year. Apparently on that day, the commander of the Second Fleet had nothing better to do, so he got up and decided to make a peer inspection of the readiness of the ships for the oncoming bad weather. His assessment upon his return to his flagship was that USS BULKELEY was, quote, conspicuously unprepared, unquote. What an ego deflator that was. But that wasn't the totality of the ego deflation. After I recounted this to my then girlfriend, she then asked me whether I would change the command philosophy from relentless excellence to conspicuous unpreparedness. Needless to say, she is no longer my girlfriend. Relentless excellence. You know who had the toughest time embracing it? Was the chief petty officers. I'll never forget the first couple of times I went down to the mess for my monthly discussion. I'll let you in on a little secret. Chief petty officers are perfectionists. When they are part of something, they want it to go perfectly. In my worldview, perfection is too expensive. I want a lot of things done well all at the same time. So that's the way we train. For 4 or 5 months, chief petty officers were pretty vocal in their objections to what I called spaghetti sticking to the wall. But they did what was expected. They lowered their shoulders. They suspended their disbelief, and they believed in the system. Most of them had no idea how much I loved their companionship and how much I looked forward to spending time in their midst. Their sage advice and inconvenient questions were crucial to turning relentless excellence into an executable strategy. And their friendship was a bright light in this most luminous tour. I would venture to say that there was no group of people on this ship who were as directly affected by the concept of relentless excellence as the department heads. They bore the brunt, and they did it superbly. Brian, Tad, John, Don, Nate, Mike, Vic, Jim, Mel, Ray, Eric, Becky, and Joe, you were the spear carriers, the front line, the change agents. The ring of steel you called yourself, and I never forget who it was you ringed to keep out. I loved watching you come together. I loved watching you become friends, and I will treasure your friendships. Some of you know my affinity for the movie The Godfather. As a matter of fact, the organizational model for the leadership team on the USS BULKELEY is the Corleone family, and the Godfather and the department heads were the capos. I pushed you to exhaustion, and I expected everything you had, everything, and you gave it. I apologize here publicly to your spouses for that little piece of you I would not relinquish. I am so proud of you. Nate and Tad, inaugural members of the Missile Club, Bravo Delta. Always, there were eyes above mine watching how we did, offering constructive criticism and kind praise. I have been blessed with 2 great bosses in this job, Commodore Franklin and Commodore St. Harris of the Iwo Jima Strike Group. I have done my very best to prepare this ship for its upcoming deployment. And I have done so at the knee of 2 men who knew how to command and who knew how to give me just enough rope to hang myself and then stand by and watch in great amusement as I did just that. Both of you will deploy shortly, and I know your respective strike groups will prosper under your leadership. I have had quite a few junior officers work for me here in BULKELEY, men and women who grew to cringe whenever they heard the words, diamonds come from pressure. You have been a great joy to me, and watching you grow in confidence and competence has been an amazing experience. Last summer, I had a group of midshipmen on board, and during an open forum, one of them asked me what the very best thing about being captain of a ship is. The answer came quickly and honestly. Lunch. I look forward all morning to sitting down with my junior officers and hearing about the world they live in. And I linger too long each day, wistfully remembering when I sat where they sit. The greatest motivator I had each day to command well and wisely was not ego, though that certainly was in play. It was an eerily obsessive desire to make you proud of me, to make you proud to serve with me. I hope and I pray that I occasionally hit that mark. When I first got here, I would sit through meetings or briefs, and virtually every one of them would start with the preamble, "Good morning, Captain, XO, Command Master Chief, Wardroom, Shipmates, Chief's Mess. This is Petty Officer, blah, 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 blah." I wondered why I and others had to be greeted separately. I decided to search for a collective that would describe this group appropriately. I turned to John Bulkeley, the man the ship is named after, and I turned to his nickname, the Sea Wolf. We would be the Wolf Pack. In fact, to this day, sometimes a briefer will get up and say, "Good afternoon, Captain, Wolf Pack," and I will feel insulted. Next time you watch a show on Discovery Channel about wolves, watch the way they hunt. They all get involved, even the little ones. They cooperate in the delivery of violence. That is what I want to hear. That is what the Wolf Pack is all about. This crew, the Wolf Pack, takes care of each other. They're the warmest, most supportive, most success-oriented group of people I've ever worked with, and they have made my tour here sublime. You sail next week into regions of the world where those who would do you and the rest of us great harm. Make them regret that decision. You have worked hard to get where you are, and if this is not the best ship on the waterfront, it can see your gun barrel through its rear view camera. I have had 2 command master chiefs and 2 executive officers in my tour here. Each of them has seen me at my most human and my most inhumane. Each was as different from his predecessor as 2 people can be. Master Chief Beldo, Master Chief Stoddard, I cannot even begin to think about what this tour would have been like without you. I love poking my head into your office, and I thoroughly enjoyed the time we spent together. It would come as no surprise to any of you, but especially my siblings, that I am not the most compassionate man alive. Both of my Master Chiefs help calibrate my compassion, sometimes by urging more of it, sometimes by cautioning me against overcompensation. Either way, the result worked, and I am in your debt. As for XOs, has any captain ever been more favored than I? At most, a captain has a right to 1 good XO. I have had 2. Each as different from the other as 2 people can be, but each equally effective and equally able to respond to my sometimes scattershot direction. Before this tour, my XO tour was my best, largely because I served 2 amazing captains. I prayed on the morning that I took this job that I would be able to command in a manner that would lead my XOs to feel the same way. I fear I have not always done so. But TJ and Brian, your job satisfaction, your growth, your opportunity to command while I was here was always chief in my mind. You both should command in this Navy, and I hope you get the chance. Master Chief XO, in a few minutes, you and every other member of the Wolf Pack will instantly turn your command loyalty over to Commander Beaver. It is right and proper that you do so, and it is why we are here today. Give him all you gave me, and his command will thrive. Give him all you gave me, and this ship will prosper. Give him all you gave me, because you can do no less. John, thank you for the class you have shown throughout this turnover process. You have commanded before, yet you allowed me to opine freely anyway. You have succeeded in this job elsewhere, yet you still sought my advice. I wish you and Angie and your family all the best, and I welcome you all to the Wolfpack. I have always admired the abilities of guys like you who can balance a superb career with a really great family, and I hope to find some of that someday myself. But before I go, John, I want to offer one bit of unsolicited advice. When I was in the pipeline en route to this job, the Navy was suffering from an epidemic of officers being relieved of command, both for reasons of competence and conduct. Flag officer after flag officer would come up to Newport to talk to us, and each put a similar spin on the issue. It's not about you, Captain, they would say. It's not about you. Guess what? It is amazingly about you. It is about your drive, your vision, your intensity, and your example. It is about your compassion and your passion. It is about your wisdom and your wonder. They can't have it both ways, John. They can't tell you that the ship will take on your personality and then tell you that it's not about you. Because it is. I go now to take my place with Del Toro and Barwitz in the Ex-Captains Club. But before I do, I want to close with the words which began my assumption of command speech 22 months and 3 days ago. From Sir Francis Drake's A Mariner's Prayer. Disturb us, Lord, when we are too well pleased with ourselves, when our dreams have come true because we dreamed too little, when we arrived safely because we sailed too close to shore. Disturb us, Lord, when the abundance of things we possess, we have lost our thirst for the waters of life. Having fallen in love with life, we have ceased to dream of eternity, and in our efforts to build a new earth, we have allowed our vision of heaven to dim. Inspire us, Lord, to dare more boldly, to venture on wider seas, where storms will show your mastery, where, losing sight of land, we shall find the stars. We ask you to push back the horizons of our hopes, and to push us in the future with strength, courage, hope, and love. We ask this on behalf of our new captain, John Beaver. I will now read my orders.
Military, attention to orders.
From Commander, Military Personnel Command, to Commander Brian G. McGrath, subject, UCURS Order 0666. When directed, report by reporting senior detached USS BULKELEY and report for duty to OPNAV, Arlington, Virginia.
Ladies and gentlemen, Commander John T. Beaver, Jr.
I will now read my orders. From Commander Military Personnel to Commander John T. Beaver, Jr. Subject, UCURS Order 0345. When directed, detach European Command Liaison Office and report to USS BULKELEY and the commanding officer for duty as is relieved.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Master Chief Donald Stoddard, USS BULKELEY's Command Master Chief, will now present the commissioning pennant to Commander McGrath. The commissioning pennant is long and narrow with 7 white stars on a patch of blue field nearest the hoist. The rest of the pennant is divided lengthwise, red on top and white below. It flies from the time the ship is commissioned to the time it is decommissioned. The commissioning pennant is not a personal flag, but is regarded as the personal symbol of the commanding officer. It is the naval custom to present the departing commanding officer with the commissioning pennant as a token of respect and admiration from the crew. Ladies and gentlemen, Commander John T. Beaver, Jr., Commanding Officer, USS BULKELEY.
McGrath and the Commodore, and it is indeed an honor to have so many friends of Bulkeley here with us today. Thank you for honoring this fine ship and those who serve in her by sharing this day with us. As many of you know, changes of command serve several purposes. First and foremost, they are a military necessity. Today is an important date if only to demonstrate to the crew of this fine ship that Captain McGrath's absolute responsibility for the warfighting effectiveness, safety, and security of this ship has formally come to an end, and that my own responsibility for these tasks has begun. Brian, I have studied this ship from afar and from near for some time now, and to the extent that I am permitted to do so, please let me publicly express my deepest professional respect for the manner by which you have fitted yourself. Credit for the evident readiness of this ship to sail into harm's way and to prevail is due to Captain McGrath's leadership. Thank you for all that you have done to make this a war-ready ship. You will always be welcome here, and I know that Bulkeley and these sailors will occupy a special place in your heart forever. On a personal note, I'd like to express my appreciation for the gracious welcome to the Wolfpack. You have continued a wonderful tradition in this ship of gentlemanly conduct and integrity. Thank you for a wonderful example of how to command. I hope that our paths continue to cross for many years. I also hope that once you take a well-deserved rest, that you'll answer your phone, especially when you see the calls from me. Kids are supposed to help me laugh here. It's a special honor for me today to meet the Bulkeley family, Mrs. Alice Bulkeley, Mrs. Joan Bulkeley-Stade, and Captain Peter Bulkeley, and others. There are many guests today here who knew and served with the Admiral and can speak far better than I about the impact of his service to our Navy and this country. There is not a naval officer here, retired or otherwise, who does not appreciate the breadth and significance of the Admiral's wartime and peacetime service. I am thrilled to serve as his namesake. I will do my very best to represent this ship and his name and your name well, and I look forward to continuing the warm relationship with the Bulkeleys for many years to come. Another important purpose of this ceremony is to reaffirm the command's gratitude to the many friends of this ship. The longer that I serve, the more I appreciate the importance of these friendships. The friends of Bulkeley have given much to the sailors who man this fine ship, and it is necessary to periodically highlight the value of these relationships. In the interest of brevity, let me simply say that I look forward to continuing the many friendships that were begun by Captains Del Toro and continued by both Captains Warwiss and McGrath. It is also important for the new CO to ever so briefly acknowledge the many shipmates who made this day possible. Time does not permit me the opportunity to adequately or individually thank all the shipmates whose guidance, support, and friendship had a hand in making this day possible. Please know that the brevity of my remarks is an imperfect reflection of my gratitude. It is a humbling experience to reflect on the lessons learned from and the many examples set from former commanding officers like Joe Volpe and Bill Williams. I'm grateful for the good humor and patience of the many classmates, wardroom messmates, several of whom are here with me this morning. It is also critical that I highlight the lessons I learned from the first Chief Petty Officer I ever worked for. I ever had the privilege to lead. It's another laugh line, Jackie. Seated here today is retired Senior Chief Gunner's Mate Jim Graham. Jim, had I been a better division officer, you might have retired as a Master Chief. On the other hand, had I been a better division officer, your sea stories would be boring. While I'm on the subject of sea stories, a quick note to all who can tell sea stories that involve me. Keep them to yourselves, for the sake of the good order and discipline of this crew. Now comes the second hardest part of my morning. Mom and Dad, thank you. The last time I stood on a stage like this, I thank you for giving me a foundation. I believe that foundation is even stronger now. I will miss the Sunday evening dinners. However, I think I have a solid reason for the hiatus. Katie and Jackie, When you had to listen to me in San Diego a few years ago, I promised that I'd be home soon. I kept that promise, didn't I? Guess what? I need to make it again. Angie, you realize I'm about to be distracted again. For me to go any further than that would only place my dignity at risk, so I will simply say that I love you. Oh yeah, we need to talk about purpose. Finally, the most important part of this ceremony from the incoming commanding officer's perspective is to address the crew you see assembled here today. Wolfpack, thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. Thank you for your efforts to make this ship and yourselves ready to sail. For some in the chief's mess and in the wardroom, you can measure the age of your children by the number of times they have stood on this pier or on piers in San Diego, Pearl Harbor, Yokosuka, to wave to you as you took in all lines to deploy to the stormy North Atlantic, the vast Western Pacific, the stifling heat of the Indian Ocean, or the ever-dangerous Persian Gulf. For others making their first deployment, some of you are less than a year removed from high school or college in search of an adventure in the Navy that has brought you to this ship at this time. Some of you will be leaving newborn children and young spouses for the first time. Regardless of how many times you've deployed, what must bind us together for this deployment is our commitment to each other. Our commitment must be to look after each other, to learn from each other, to trust in each other. We will sail with confidence in each other, a confidence that is derived from the readiness you have worked so hard to achieve, the justness of our cause, the love of our families, and the optimism knowing that our service is cherished by those we leave ashore. To our guests today, I humbly ask two things from you. I ask that you take a minute and thank the sailors you see here today for their willingness to serve, their willingness to endure hardship for each of you and for our nation. And I ask that you keep this ship and these sailors in your thoughts and prayers. Pray that we have the courage to face the loneliness, the boredom, the doubt, and perhaps even the danger that might lie ahead for this ship and her crew. Thank you all for sharing this day with us, and may God continue to bless this good ship and all who sail in her. Thank you. That's so take charge for that time of the day.
Would the guests please rise for the benediction and remain standing for the departure of the official party.
Let us pray. Grandfather, that each of us might realize our own self-worth and the need for our talents to be exercised to the best of our abilities in this command, in our Navy, in our beloved country, and into this your world. We thank you, Father, for the encouragement of your word, and we pray that you would give strength to these two men as they each assume new responsibilities and duties. For the individuals within this command, we pray for these promises to be a reality in their lives. May your hand of grace and endless wisdom cover all gathered here today. Finally, we ask that Commander McGrath may have good memories of the times he has commanded USS BULKELEY. Bless him and his family during their transition to newer challenges to which they are called. And this too, as Commander Beaver prepares to assume duties as commanding officer, we pray that you will give him the knowledge, wisdom, temperance to lead boldly and with confidence, and that he and his family are welcomed warmly into the family of USS BULKELEY. These things we ask. Amen.
Destroyer Squadron 2-8 departing. Commander, United States Navy, departing. Bulkley, departing. Ladies and gentlemen, at the conclusion of the service song, guests, participants, and crew are cordially invited to join Commander McGrath and Commander Beaver for reception on the pier.